Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Deanna Morris, Program Management Officer at ESCAP's Catalyzing Women's Entrepreneurship Program. We're pleased to welcome you to the second InnovaTea session. InnovaTea is a monthly webinar series which brings together government, private sector, and research entities to explore development issues and share critical insights to support the implementation of science, technology, and innovation initiatives for sustainable and inclusive development in the Asia-Pacific region. Today's session is exploring a relatively unresearched topic on social media-based women entrepreneurs in Bangladesh. And as we know, entrepreneurs are the backbone of the Asia-Pacific economies. Women entrepreneurs play a significant role in both the informal and formal economy. And in Bangladesh, where women's labor force participation rate is 2.2 times less than men, Facebook commerce, or as we're calling it, F-commerce, is seeing an alternative trend with 50% of Facebook stores owned by women, which is a very great sign, and we're very excited to see this. Over the last 6 months, ESCAP and our partners Dnet Bangladesh undertook research on women's social media-based entrepreneurs in Bangladesh to understand why women entrepreneurs are specifically struggling to scale up their online businesses. This research initiative is part of a larger initiative of ESCAP. ESCAP is currently undertaking 6 simultaneous research initiatives aimed at understanding the nuanced challenges women entrepreneurs are facing in accessing finance and undertaking entrepreneurial activities across 6 target countries in the region. This is just one of these research initiatives, and our goal is that this research is action-oriented, allowing for learnings to be applied into new product design, tailoring of existing services, or identification of solutions which could better support women entrepreneurs. Today, we're looking forward to sharing you the preliminary findings on our social media-based women entrepreneurs in Bangladesh, and we hope that you and your organizations will find ways to act on these findings presented. I'm pleased to hand over now to our partners at Dnet, Ms. Lamiyah Daraksha and Ms. Alokananda Datta. Please go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Deanna. I am just sharing my slide.
Yep.
All right, I hope that it's visible. Okay,
Looks great.
So a very warm greetings to the organizers and panelists and the listeners who are watching us and listening us. Welcome to today's webinar. I would like to extend my sincerest gratitude to UN ESCAP and the Government of Canada for giving Dnet the opportunity to work on this research. Well, I would like to start by sharing a very small brief on Dnet, the organization who works on this research. Dnet is a social enterprise that designs innovative product and knowledge solutions. It works to create the positive impact in the lives of women, children, youth, and elderly citizens in Bangladesh and beyond. With a mission to build innovation for creating impact, Dnet embraces this research journey to explore the situation, challenges, and opportunities for the growth of social media-based women entrepreneurs. Well, I am now very excited to share with you our interesting research background and methodology. Firstly, let me explore the social media landscape in Bangladesh. Well, before that, don't you think the fascination of social media is just mounting up nowadays? It's not only used for the entertainment purpose, but also became a powerful business platform. Let's see what the statistics portrays. A quarter of the total population in Bangladesh are social media users. Just within a year, users increased by 9 million. Isn't that huge? And among all the social media platforms, Facebook, we know very well that Facebook is top of them. Even though we can see here, majority of the users in Facebook are male, still, Bangladesh has experienced a very remarkable growth in the number of online women entrepreneurs with limited resources. I am moving on to the next slide, and great. Now, let us explore how women are booming with F-commerce in Bangladesh. Despite having multidimensional challenges and even considering the devastating scenario of COVID-19, there is a significant growth in the number of online women entrepreneurs. We know F-commerce is one of the platforms that is being used due to the ease of users, and it has opened many new doors for women, from showcasing their products to doing live, to interact with customers directly while maintaining their user household is just remarkable, and it's just evident online. Now, 50% of Facebook stores are being owned by female entrepreneurs. More than 3 lakh Bangladesh stores are operating on Facebook. Everyone, gender balance is not only a woman's issue, it's a business issue. The greater the gender equality, the more the economic growth, which in turn lead to better development outcomes. All right. So now, as you know, as I just gone through the slide and show you the social media landscape and the women in F-commerce, so the overall situation here portrays that women in Bangladesh have a will to act as an entrepreneur. However, due to a lot of challenges, many of them face a lot of trouble to sustain their business in a long run. Hence, this research aims to aid the service provider for developing strategic decisions to support women in social media-based business in Bangladesh. So we came up with this 3 research questions, these 3 key questions, I must say. The first thing is, what is the profile of social media-based women entrepreneurs? We will be exploring the socio-demographic profile and understand the business situation. The second thing is, we will be exploring the challenges that is being faced by the social media-based online women entrepreneurs from the start of their business to scale. Then we will be exploring what are the supports and requirements of the women entrepreneurs in Bangladesh has. Now, let me share you a gist on how we proceed with this research. This slide portrays the overall methodology that we applied for this research. We applied both the qualitative and quantitative research approaches for finding the interesting insights. Using a random sampling methodology, we selected 150 women who are active in their online business. To get the detailed information, we conducted telephone survey for hours. Besides, we also interviewed women entrepreneurs who are currently inactive in their business. In addition, we reach out to those women who operate business offline and those relevant stakeholders for constructing the research results and bringing out the output in a well-mannered. First of all, everyone, I would like to say that this survey is not statistically representative of all social media entrepreneurs in Bangladesh, but it does cover a diverse segment. Now, I would like to share my cordial thanks to the women entrepreneurs, influencers, and the service provider who, with their own interests, have supported us during this survey. Now, I will be giving this hand over to Ms. Aloka. She will be sharing the interesting findings of this research. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Lamiyah, and a very warm greetings to everyone, those who have joined with us today. I'm really excited to share the findings of our research. Well, as you already have known, that we conducted this survey with 150 women entrepreneurs who are currently active in their business. In addition, we interviewed with different stakeholders as well as women entrepreneurs who actually failed to continue their business in the long run. So, based on the information and insights that we have collected from them, we have analyzed our data, and I'll be sharing the main key findings with you today. I will start with their socio-demographics first. So, who are these women entrepreneurs? We found that young, married, and graduate women actually lead this pack of social media-based business in Bangladesh. If we look at their educational background, we find that 69% of these women were highly educated, having at least a bachelor's or a master's level of degree. And most of them were aged up to 30 years. In terms of their marital status, it was found that 62% of them were actually married. Interestingly, these women play multiple roles. They not only manage their business or their household, but 69% of them actually financially participate and contribute to their family expenditure. So what are the business looks like of this woman? I'll be sharing some facts about their business. These women, they run multiple types of products in their business, but clothing, jewelry, and food supply were found to be the most common and leading items that they sell. We often think that there is a general notion that these women are staying at home and they're doing business from home, so they do not need to spend so much time for their business. But the thing is, these women tries to utilize their entire day and tries to be as responsive as possible to their customers. And 72% of these women indicated that they had to spend around 5 to 6 solid hours every day for their business. We found that the majority of these women are actually connected with at least one of the business associations, from which they get support on different business issues. So when did they start to enter into this social media type of business? Well, the thing is, women are entering into social media business every year. We found a boost in 2020, where 41% of these women actually started their business. These women are not only self-employed, but they also contribute to the finance, and 29% of them actually hired other people to help them with their business. Even though it was informal employment, still the median employee size of them were around 2. We know that capital size is really important for any kind of business. 2/3 of these women actually started their business with a capital around $118 US. The median size of their capital was found to be around 5,000 Bangladeshi taka, which is around $59 US. So these women start with a very minimum level of capital. To source their capital, they mostly rely on their personal savings. And sometimes they get help from their family and receive the capital amount as a gift. I'd like to mention here that only 8% of these women actually took a loan from the financial institution to start their business. Even though these women are selling multiple types of products in their business, but their median monthly sales volume was around $178 US, which was nearly double of their operation costs. Business registration is a really important for any kind of formal support for any kind of business. Despite this fact, we found that only 19% of these women actually had a valid trade license. Now I'll be moving to one of the major part of our research. What is their challenges and what is their barriers? We found that there are 5 key challenges that existed throughout the business life of this woman. Even though these 5 challenges remained the same, but it gradually reduced when they gained experience. The first key challenge was regarding customer relations, where women said that customers often cancel their products, and sometimes the customers are not available when they're supposed to pick up the product. Supply chain was the second major challenge stated by this woman. And in terms of supply chain, they said that delivery service providers, that means the courier service providers, often make delay in product delivery. And sometimes there were examples that products get damaged when the shipment is being done. When these women are purchasing product from their supplier, they found the problem regarding inventory mismatch. Online abuse is one of the most unfair and injustice thing that these women had to face on an everyday basis in their business. These women face a lot of online abuse whenever they're posting on their Facebook page or doing live or making comments, posting pictures of themselves, and so on. Some of these women said that they became victim of hate speech, and some of them said they had to experience sexually violent dialogues. They received so many negative and inappropriate comments and messages on their Facebook page, on the comment section of their page every day. I'd like to highlight the point that these women mentioned online abuse has increased tremendously since the COVID happened and the lockdown started countrywide. According to the country's context, family support is really important for any woman to get engaged in any kind of business. 41% of these women said that they did not have support from their family to start up their business. Still, they continued their business, and when they were able to show visible progress in their business, the family kind of started to support them. Registration and access to finance is really important. However, our studies findings suggest that a very minimum number of participants actually took a loan from a bank or had trade license. As I mentioned earlier, only 8% of these women took loan from a bank, and only 19% of these women had a trade license. As I said, many of these women did not have family support. So the fear of loan liability was very prominent among these women. But in terms of registration, these women just do not feel the necessity of getting a trade license until or unless they need to apply for a loan or they try to import products from abroad. Now let's see how we can support these women to achieve their dreams. We found there are multiple gaps from the stakeholder level, and all the stakeholders can come together and work jointly to support these women. Let's look at some of these sectors. Financial service sector, they can come together and develop a very simple and convenient financial services which are accessible for this woman. Government and financial service sector can come together and they can make the registration facilities available at every single financial access points. Policymakers and regulators, they can develop an information hub where women can get all sorts of regulatory information, business registration related information, import-export related information at a single place. In addition, maybe they can think of developing a virtual one-stop service from where these women can get these registrations done from the platform. Considering the challenges that I mentioned earlier regarding the supply chain, maybe the delivery channels and service providers can think of expanding their business, expanding their services to the rural areas, and also think of incorporating services which will allow these women to deliver products like fish and pickle, which is a really big problem. Knowledge and service providers, they can also think of providing basic and advanced level of courses on different sorts of business tools and tactics. In addition, social and mass media operators can think of promoting the positive notion of women in business throughout the country. And they can create awareness among other people that women doing business is a really good thing. This will help these women to not only fight or combat the online abuses, but this will help these women to actually overcome the family support problems. Other business stakeholders can also think of developing a platform where they can showcase all sorts of raw materials, and the women can get connected with the suppliers and producers from that platform. So now, my question to you is, can we all think of how we can support these women to achieve their dreams? Thank you all. And for any kind of queries and suggestions, please feel free to contact us. Thank you. Over to you, Deanna.
Thanks very much, Alokananda and Lamiyah. We do have a quick Q&A session here, and I see that there is one question in the chat from Nandini. She's asking, in Lamiyah's slide, what do you mean by mixed motivations?
All right, Tiana, thanks for the one who asked the question. Well, as per the research output, we got 15% of online women entrepreneurs pick this profession by choice, while 43% has mixed motivation. By mixed motivation, we mean that they have motivations to become entrepreneurs so that they can generate their income passing their leisure time mainly. They are not solely fully responsible, but they have the time to pass, and they want to pass it in a way that they can generate income like in a very smooth way. So that's what we meant by mixed motivation.
Thanks so much. We have one additional question in from Amit, and he is asking, how willing are F-commerce businesses in registering their business?
Hi, sorry. So as I said, these women actually do not, first of all, they do not feel the necessity that they need a trade license. However, only when they need to apply for a loan, or when some of these women tries to import products from abroad, only then they need a trade license. So in that case, they opt for a trade license. Other than that, they do not feel the necessity, and they're not actually willing to go for a trade license. Some of the issues they mentioned, that the whole process of obtaining a trade license seemed pretty complex to them. They do not have adequate information how to obtain the trade license. And some of these women also mentioned that the annual fee of trade license seemed higher for them. Thank you.
Thanks. We actually have an additional question regarding the trade license, and it's asking what industries are they in? Is there any certain industry where the 19% of women that had a trade license actually tended to be?
Well, we did not find any specific pattern in this. However, we saw that the women who actually are educated, there is they're actually higher when the level is higher among them who are educated having a trade license.
Great. And I think this is a very interesting topic that people are interested in. We have another question from Nandini, and this will be the last question before we go into the panel, because actually there's some questions on this in the panel as well that I think some of the panelists will be able to address. But her question was, have F-commerce businesses led by women tried to get on other online platforms, and what has been their experience?
Well, we did not explore that issue, so unfortunately I cannot answer that.
Great. So we will move now directly into the panel session, which will have further deliberations on these findings. And I would like to introduce Mr. Jonathan Wong. He's the Chief of Technology and Innovation at ESCAP. Over to you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Deanna, and thanks to our presenters for highlighting the key findings. Deanna, you can hear me, right?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, cool. As Deanna mentioned, we'll now move on to the panel discussion segment of the event. And we have convened a panel of key influencers in Bangladesh to discuss, firstly, the importance of these findings, and secondly, their views on what is needed to support women entrepreneurs to scale up their social media based enterprises. Let me start by kind of just very briefly introducing our panel, and you'll hear a lot more about them very shortly. First, we have Mr. Ashraful Alam, General Manager of Bangladesh Bank. Second, we have Mr. Nazeem Satter, General Manager of Small and Medium Enterprise Foundation, Bangladesh. And last but not least, we have Ms. Afsana Zarin, Chief of Staff of ShopUp Bangladesh. Before we get started, please feel free to post any questions you have in the Q&A function. And hopefully we should have a bit of time at the end of this panel discussion to pick up those questions as well. So let's kick off, and let me maybe firstly turn to Mr. Alam. The report shows that only 8% of women social media entrepreneurs source capital from financial institutions. So my question is this: what are, in your view, the financial products and innovations that could best serve the needs of online women-run businesses, both at the startup and scale-up stages? So, Mr. Alam, over to you first for your insights on that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Am I audible? Yes. Thank you. It was a great research and a great presentation. Very insightful findings from this research of a unexplored business segments in Bangladesh, which is growing rapidly. Also, the research has shown that the growth in the social media business space is very rapid in Bangladesh. So the question is, what kind of financial products can support this kind of social media based businesses at startup and scale up stage? So basically, if we see the findings, like 83% did not take credit. So I am not sure whether they didn't take credit willingly or they could not basically source credit. They wanted to, but they could not. I mean, the question is, the answer is not clear. Then, another way to look at it is 19% businesses have trade license, so 81% is informal. So informal businesses basically have limited option to source credit from the traditional financial services market. This is maybe one of the reasons why 83% of the entrepreneurs could not or did not take credit from the formal sources. And given this situation, basically the kind of businesses the social media based entrepreneurs are involved in, they are very, at the startup stage, they are very tentative. They are not sure whether they will continue this business or they are taking a certain opportunity, which is basically they see in front of them. And also the answer, one of the answer from the one of the presenter was that they basically don't want to get trade license. Yes, trade license is a cumbersome process, but I don't think that trade license fees is an exuberant one in Bangladesh. It is not that much, but it is a process that is basically cumbersome. So given all this situation, particularly in my opinion, I would say that if we want to make financial services available to this kind of entrepreneurs who are basically, in my opinion, I would say, I would basically focus on my comment that in my opinion, they are very tentative in terms of their entrepreneurial journey. They are not serious as of now. So whether they will be continuing it or not. So special kind of financial products and special kind of financial services providers are also required. Traditional financial services provider like banks cannot serve this market segment because the banks are not basically developed, trained up, or they do not have the tools and techniques as well as attitude to serve this kind of entrepreneurs. So we need to find out innovative products as well as innovative financial service providers. So one can be like MFIs in Bangladesh. They are more or less informal lenders. They are semi-formal lenders, but they can do informal, lending to informal sector as well. Another kind of possible, financial service provider can be fintech. Many of you might have heard iFarmer, ShopUp, Romani. There are several fintechs which already, I mean, UN ESCAP and UNCDF has supported to scale up this kind of fintech or technology-based women entrepreneurs initiative. So they can be one option to basically support this kind of e-commerce entrepreneurs like ShopUp. I know that ShopUp, one of the ShopUp representative, will be speaking in this webinar as well. ShopUp is also providing some sort of business development services to these e-commerce entrepreneurs, as well as they are basically linking them to the financial services providers. Those who have basically become taking the business development services from ShopUp, they have, they have confirmed, they have their own conviction. They want to do this business, they want to scale up. Then ShopUp is basically linking them to the traditional financial services providers like the finance companies and others in commercial banks. So, in my opinion, to support them with financial services, we need to come up with innovative financial institution and innovative financial services product. Vis-a-vis, I would say that the business ecosystem, like one of the challenges they are facing is the trade license, cumbersome process of trade licensing. So trade licensing must be made very simple. Like let's say Bikash, Nagad, or Rocket, whatever, or ShopUp, even ShopUp. So the business trade license providers agency should make alliance with this business development service provider or the financial service development provider, so that the BDS provider or the financial services provider can offer the trade licensing system to the entrepreneur very easily with not much cumbersome process. So if we can do this simplification of trade licensing process, the e-commerce based businesses will be more interested in taking up trade license, and once they become formal, so the other areas of taking financial services like the traditional bank will open up to them. So, and if they want to scale up, then they can access credit from the traditional bank. And finally, I would say gradually in Bangladesh, the government is focusing on the building a startup ecosystem. A government mandated startup company, startup funding or startup company has been established, ShopUp Bangladesh Limited, with huge amount of government funding to them. But I think this ShopUp Bangladesh Limited needs to segment, various, like there are different kinds of startups. These e-commerce based businesses, they might be doing business with the foreign customers. Again, they might be doing business with local customers. So the need for different kinds of services by the entrepreneurs who are basically serving foreign customers and who are serving the local customers are different. So the ShopUp Bangladesh Limited needs to segment their market and come up with segmented strategy, how to support different segments differently and identify the needs and all those things. And that way, basically, I would say if we can build up a startup ecosystem, specialized startup ecosystem, and also innovative financial services products, as well as innovative technology-based financial services providers for this kind of social media-based business entrepreneurs, then I would say that it will be much easier to serve this kind of social media-based entrepreneurs to access credits to sustain in their startup stage, as well as to scale up their businesses further in this space. So I would end here. If any further question is there, I will be trying to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alam, and you've set the scene perfectly, by the way, for the rest of the panel. Like you mentioned the need for innovation, and we'll be hearing from Ms. Zarin from ShopUp later on. And also, you've set the scene for the next question for Mr. Satter very well in talking about kind of the need for trade licenses and this issue of informality and business registration. So thank you so much for your comments. Let me now turn to Mr. Satter for your question to you. The research highlights that 3/4 of social media-based women entrepreneurs have no business registration. Given your expertise, how can we accommodate and support unregistered women entrepreneurs to further grow their businesses? And what solutions or incentives are needed to encourage business registration? So Mr. Satter, over to you for your reflections and insights on that question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, the study, as Ashraf sir mentioned, that very insightful findings, and I'm just become crazy that getting the information. If you see that 60%, 66% are young and 69% educated, and 79% they started business with their own capital, and only so I think the F-commerce has huge potential in our country. Okay, particularly in our country, as you are aware probably that right this movement, government has declared nationwide country shutdown due to uh, declining the situation of the COVID. So countries totally stopped now. And initially government started for 1 week, but it is expected it could be extended for more than a week. So business is stopped. So definitely in this moment, this issue is a very vital issue. We have to promote this business and particularly the women. And if you consider our country context, like Bangladesh, where women faces different limitations, bottlenecks for starting business, their society and heritage, everything don't allow. But I must say that social business has come as the rescuer for the women entrepreneur as well, because what the problem they used to face, but if they do the social business, they don't need to face that. So I think it has huge potential. And if you see the advancement or the figure of the last 1 year, that is had just become double in last 1 year, the social business. And as the study also mentioned that 50% are women. So if you know that in our country perspective, 50% are women, government has long-term visions. We want to become middle income country. We want to become developed countries. So if we really want to achieve the all the goals, we have to also develop the women. So government has focused on that. So what would I say that it is easy to start a business through F-commerce. So because they need to invest more money, they don't need to hire spaces. Lots of benefits for such business. So seeing the scenario, seeing the potential, it is now has become the concern of the government. How can we make them formal? How can we mainstreaming them? Okay. And accordingly, the main issue, as Ashraful Alam mentioned, there are two issues. One is their registration, and second is access to finance. There are the two vital issues mainly. So you know that if for registration, I mean what is commonly told in our country, trade license. For every business, as per prevailing law, every business needs a trade license, formal trade license from the government. But F-commerce who run the F-commerce, they can't able the trade license because the condition they don't meet. So government is right this is thinking to initiate, start something alternative of the trade license. The government has a huge project that is access to information project, which is working for digitalization Bangladesh. There recently we have had meeting with them. They are also thinking how we can give them and like licensing instead of trade, because as per trade license is concerned, they will not fulfill the criteria. So we are thinking to give them something different, which will be the replacement of the trade license or the supplement of the trade license. So government is very much concerned of this. We are working on this. Government is planning to link with the national database. With that, that we have a national identity number. So government is thinking to link with the license with the national database. to, I think, minimize the fraudulence, everything. So as per trade license or registration is concerned, government is seriously thinking, and hopefully within next year, within short, we will be able to come in a solution for them to make them mainstreaming. Okay. And also, as Ashraf also highlighted, that access to finance, it is an issue. So for getting access to finance, trade license is the other mandatory criteria. So most of the entrepreneurs, they don't get loan. Although they qualify, they don't get loan for lack of trade license. We are also working on that. And most of summer banks are, they are also interested. They are also thinking that they proposed to us that if we give them a separate number, separate identical registration number, or like enlistment number, then against that number, if Bangladesh Bank, I mean central bank of the country, is endorsed that number, that registration number, or that, I think, enlistment number of the our foundation, then Bangladesh Bank, if Bangladesh Bank as the central bank endorse that number, then bank will give them loan. So bank will treat that number as the supplement of the trade license. Instead of trade license, bank will consider funding to them. So it is very good news for us. So we are also thinking to enlist all the app commerce with SME Foundation, like as the apex organization of the country for SME development. And after that registration is over, then we'll work with Bangladesh Bank, the central bank. If they consider that number, then we'll work with the commercial bank for lending to them. But still, as Ashraf sir also mentioned, that they need alternative source of financing. So if they fully rely on bank for financing, it will not be effective. So the other issues like MFI could be, the microfinance institution could be a great source of finance for them, because most of the MFI, they give loan informally. So they don't ask for trade license. They give loan in the name of person name, not, but I mean, trade license is not mandatory for MFI loan. So we are also thinking for streamlining the MFI for lending to them. You know that as per our present mandate, we cannot work with MFI, but we are thinking to include MFI in our mandate. And once it is mandated, then we will also take some action, particularly funding and other capacity building through the MFI. Because first, I think initially we have to address all such segments, such entrepreneurs through the MFI instead of banks. So, and last of all, which one is capacity building? As the study highlighted some issues, particularly they face a problem. We are also concerned of that. We are also working on that issue, particularly policy issue and other capacity building issue. So we are also concerned of if they really want to make the business successfully, they need to have skill on communication, negotiation, quality skills too. SME Foundation, on behalf of the government, is focusing and designing different actions plan, support services for such e-commerce entrepreneurs to make them capable more than skilled. So this is end from me, and if I get more questions, then I will be answering. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Satter. That was really insightful. You brought together so many things there that I'll probably come back to around the different policy mixes that you need to kind of support kind of women in e-commerce. You touched on access to finance, trade licenses, business registration, the national ID system. Mr. Alam mentioned kind of the role of ShopUp Bangladesh. So I'll come back to you both on that point shortly. But now let me turn to Ms. Zarin. And the report mentions that half of social media-based women entrepreneurs face challenges in customer relations and delivery, specifically around cancellation of customer orders, absence of customers at delivery, other delivery challenges in semi-urban and rural environments, and an inventory mismatch when receiving products from suppliers. I'm sure there are many other issues as well. Given your expertise, what are the solutions needed to better address the customer and supply chain related challenges which are hindering women entrepreneurs' business expansion? So Ms. Zarin, over to you.
Thanks, Jonathan. And thank you, Ashraf Bhai and Nazeem Bhai, for your valuable opinions. I think those are the things that we actually double down on when it comes to women entrepreneurs. And Lamia and Alokananda, thank you so much for your wonderful findings. I think those were very insightful for even for me, who has been working with all these women entrepreneurs for years with ShopUp. So let me come to the challenges, right? So one was customer relations. So I think in my experience, what I've seen, that a lot of these women entrepreneurs are also very new entrepreneurs. So when it comes to customer relationships or customer services, it can happen that most of the time since they're new, they don't know how to actually deal with the customer services, and they get like nervous very, very easily, right? So that is one. And another thing is the social media itself. So this social business is a result of social media, but in social media, it is also very easy to backlash someone, right? So let's say a customer has a grudge on you. It is very easy for your customer to, write down a post and backlash you about that in the social media. They actually have the time, and they actually do that. So the customers are also part of the problem here, I would say. So now how we can manage it, right? So let me just talk about the problems a little bit, then I'm coming to the solutions that can be there for them. So that's one. They don't have any SOPs, and the customers are also very tough because they are also very new to online shopping, right? Because of COVID, we are seeing a lot of customers are coming online, and we are seeing a higher trend in shopping online because of COVID, right? So these customers, they are actually used to going to the shopping malls, touching and feeling things and buying it for them, right? So a lot of times things like this happen. A merchant is actually pushing some goods to the customers. The customer is saying that they will be taking that, but they're actually taking it with the intention of seeing it. It's like, okay, send the deliveries. I'll see the products, and then I'll return it if I don't like it. And merchants are not actually dealing with those sort of things properly, since they don't have any experience of online business before. So I think that is where we can actually play roles, like let's say SME Foundation, us, even Dnet, and organizations like us. We should hold trainings for these women entrepreneurs, and we should also make customers aware how they can shop online. When they are actually ordering something, the cost is already incurring at the delivery side, right? Logistics, the merchant already has to pay the logistics company that they have given the product to. So those kind of things are already incurring. So we can actually make our women entrepreneurs better prepared for how to handle with these customers. So that's on the customer relationship part. Let's come to the delivery part of it now. So I think a big challenge right now in Bangladesh is a lot of our delivery services, like you have also given in your solutions, right? That they don't spread across the country. They are not they're not there in the rural areas, or they're not in all 64 districts, right? So I think some of them are, like, let's say for ShopUp, we have RedX, we have coverage for all the 490 thanas that we have. Maybe other delivery companies can come forward and do those kind of a coverage thing for them, so that all these women entrepreneurs can also send can take orders from all over the country and send products to everyone. So that's one. And I think there are challenges in the addresses part as well, in the semi-urban and rural areas, right? Since these entrepreneurs are not very experienced, sometimes they just take addresses, let's say with the thana name or with just the road name, and they wouldn't take the proper addresses from the customers. And that then what happens, actually delivery man goes there, and they keep wondering, right, that I don't know, like what to find, and eventually they return the products. So again, that also comes back to the proper education that the logistics company should give their delivery men, as well as to their merchants. And merchants should ask the customers properly that these are the things that you need to give me if you want to get this delivered to this area. I think those kind of knowledge gaps are there. If we can bridge the gap there, if you can keep communicating and keep training about these things, those things can get sorted. And I think another big challenge in the supply chain is actually the supply part, where these entrepreneurs actually source products from. So if you go to the wholesale markets or the sourcing part of it, you will see that it's a very male-dominated market, right? It's very difficult for a woman to go to, Islampur, let's say, or, Khatunganj in Chittagong and deal with all these people who have, who are very traditional in their mindset. They don't understand what, online business is and all. And women, it is very difficult for women to actually go to these places and convince these suppliers and wholesalers to get the supplies from them. So I think organizations like us can also help in that leg of the supply chain as well, where we might make a platform, like let's say where ShopUp is actually working right now. We have made a platform where we have made the sourcing part easier for these people, so that they don't have to spend their time and go to different places and then have their goods procured for them. They can do it sitting at their home from one place. So I think things like that we can do to solve whatever problems they're facing. But one thing I would like to mention, especially, we have to keep going back to them and ask them what are their problems. We should not just find a solution and provide it for them, because that is why I'm actually appreciating this research very much, because we have actually gone to the women entrepreneurs and asked them what are the things, what are their barriers, and what are the things that they need, right? So I think this is something that this dialogue should keep going on, and these insights we should keep collecting so that we can design our products accordingly. Yeah, I think that was it that I wanted to mention.
Thank you so much, and thank you to all our panelists for your insights. You know what, I'm usually a terrible moderator, and I don't finish on time, but we have actually questions for Q&A. I always run out, so thank you so much for all of that. Firstly, thank you, Mr. Satter, for answering some of the questions in chat there, and that's much appreciated. We've had a few more questions come in, and I have a question for myself as well that I'm going to ask. But let's stay with you. Because there's a question directly about ShopUp, and the question is, do you track the gender of your vendors? So over to you on that one.
Sorry, I missed the question.
Do you track the gender of your vendors? And that's to Ms. Zarin.
Yeah, what was the question again? Sorry, I missed.
In ShopUp, do you track the gender of your vendors?
Yeah, we do that. And we are also we also see the same trend that Dnet has found out. Yeah. I think more than 40% of all our merchants are actually women, and who mostly come from these online commerce sector, F-commerce sector from Facebook. Okay,
cool. Thank you so much. I said this is you're a very good panel, by the way. You're answering all the questions online, which makes my job so much easier. Mr. Alam is typing an answer in, so I'll leave him alone for now. But I'm going to abuse my moderator rights and ask a question of my own. And I want to pose this one to Mr. Satter and Mr. Alam. We've touched upon so many areas that are needed to better support this sector. I mean, we spoke about access to finance, need for the kind of incentivize people to sign up for trade licenses, business registration. We mentioned the national ID system. We mentioned kind of this online issue of online violence. We mentioned, Ms. Zarin mentioned around capacity building for women. And it suddenly struck me that I suppose from a government policy perspective, a lot of these policy agendas touch on so many different parts of the government. You know, kind of my question to you both is really, how could we support more policy coherence and policy kind of dialogue between the respective and different regulators and line ministries who are advocating for these policies to really better support women operating in this sector? So I don't know, Mr. Satter or Mr. Alam, kind of if either of you want to address that question.
So thank you, Wong. I would take the privilege of answering. Maybe Mr. Satter will add onto this. So the regulatory coordination, I think you have asked that how the regulatory coordination can be done to maximize the efficiency of regulatory intervention.
Yes, that's correct.
As you see that these social media based businesses are very new phenomenon in the country, and they are there are various challenges or various lack of documents, lack of the business model is totally different. The traditional trade license system asks you that you have a specific business place, and the business place cannot be a residential area. So mostly, but you know that these online businesses are mostly set up in your home, which is definitely a residential area. So whenever online business owner basically wants to have a trade license, they provide their housing address as their business location, and the trade license authority basically says that this is a residential area and a business cannot be registered in a residential area. So this kind of this new kind of business models are evolving. So the regulatory adjustment needs to be evolved as well. And as you know that regulators are very slow in moving from their current position to the new emerging issues, adopting the new emerging issues. So it will definitely it will take time, but the thing is that, like as you see that the in general these Facebook based businesses, unless they want to scale up, they don't require much of these they are not subjected to much of the regulatory forbearance, reporting and all those things. They are not required to do that all those things. So initially they are comfortable. They can do comfortably businesses at startup stage. But yes, if they want to scale up, they want to access credit from the traditional financial services market, then basically they need to do these registration and reporting and all those things. And I think recently, in the recent years, the government has taken various steps in building ecosystem for startups in Bangladesh. As I have said in my last deliberation, that ShopUp Bangladesh company, not only they are supporting the startups by providing financial support, but they are also offering technical training, business development services. They are supporting innovation within the startup community. So, and also they are working with the regulators and other business development service providers. Like ShopUp is also, part of the ShopUp Bangladesh support system as well. So that way, I think the policymakers and regulators are working together to come up with a coherent and coordinated policy and regulatory ecosystem that will be, that will support different segments. As you know that e-commerce is another area where basically not only social media based e-commerce, other technologically technologically highly developed e-commerce are also facing a lot of trouble nowadays in Bangladesh. But the government and the regulators, policymakers and regulators are working together to come up with a coordinated and coherent policy and regulatory regime. So I'm hopeful that in the coming days, things will improve. And by that time, the social media based businesses will be able to basically get support from the regulators and policymakers. I think Nazeem can add further. Thank you.
Right. Very briefly, Nazeem.
Thank you, sir. Ashraf sir covered almost everything. But if I supplement that, as I rightly mentioned, there is no single regulatory authority for such business in the country. But the reality is that such entrepreneurs, they have the tendency to make business informally because it's easy to run for them. So even most of them are not interested for getting loan because, as you saw, that most of them they can manage fund by their from the own sources. So they are not that much interested for taking trade license. They are not interested for getting in licensed, registered. But the reality, since it's business, the government is concerned, so they and it is increasing. So government will definitely bring them under the regulation. It is probably it will take time, not this year, but next, very short. You know that there is a dedicated ministry in our country that is called ICT division, ICT ministry.
Yeah.
So they are looking after the issue. They are developing the policy. And you probably you'll be happy to know that this year in the last budget, government has imposed a tax on the online transaction. So who are doing online business, they are also already coming into the government system. So in future, F-commerce will definitely come into the system. So they will be regulated. And yeah, and you must agree that the revenue is an issue here. So if they remain out of government system, so government will be missing huge revenue from them. So trade license is one of the key source for the revenue generation of the government.
Right.
So I think in future, definitely government is working very strongly, particularly during this on COVID situation. Government is very enthusiastic seeing this group, and most of them, you saw the study that they are young, they are educated, they are the key concentration of the government. Government would like to make them okay. They can start with F-commerce, but after some time, when they will be capable and confident, definitely they will become a full entrepreneur with trade license in space. So government has very much positive for them. Government and from SME Foundation, we have separate department for supporting such entrepreneurs. We are right this moment, the movement is restricted, so we are still continue our support services through online, through Zoom. As Ms. Zarin mentioned, that we are making them capable. So you know that most of the women entrepreneurs who are traditional, conventional, they are not used to a launch or doing such business. We are making them capable how to start, how to run, how to operate or promote such. So the fact is that right this till now they are not under any regulation, but within soon I believe that they will come. Government is very much concerned of them. They will become into regulation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Nazeem. Sadly, we're out of time now. We could go on for another hour, I would guess, but I know you probably have other meetings as well, and I don't know what time it is wherever you are around the world. But let me just take this opportunity to really thank all the speakers for such a dynamic, engaging, and rich conversation and discussion today, which will be very helpful as our research and our work on this agenda evolves. And I also want to say a special thank you to the three panelists. I think you all answered questions both orally, but also on the chat. So thank you for making such good use of the kind of short time we have for Q&A and being so efficient around that. My huge thanks to you for all of that. To the audience and participants, again, thank you for joining us today. We will be sending a survey to you, and my colleagues are putting the survey link in the chat, I think, or they may have done already. So please feel free to respond to that and share your views on this event so we can continue to improve what we do going forward. I'd also like to take this opportunity to announce the third InnovaTea on the future of innovation hubs, which will be happening on 27th of July, and we can send more details on that. So without further ado, just say thank you, huge thank you again to all the panelists, to our presenters as well for presenting the findings, and to Deanna for hosting and moderating the event. We look forward to seeing you all again soon, and thank you all. Stay safe and have a nice day. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.